So it is November 7th, 13:30 hours. Well, meeting to order for real estate. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, is the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Apple District website. Do the roll call, attendance, early.
Maria Lucas.
Robert Otis.
Ed Moore, Steve Ruth.
Everybody got to read the minutes from last meeting.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so is there any public comments out there? Doesn't look like anybody's here. Public comment. Public comments, all right. Got the minutes. Financial report. The next, anybody gets related to work, is that?
Yeah, just give us a second.
Yeah, no problem,
Sorry.
no problem.
Can you pass the extra copy of? One from myself. Thank you.
Oh.
How was your event, Robert?
Pardon?
How was your event? I'm sorry, you wasn't able to.
Only 30 people showed up.
No, it's only the first stuff, yeah.
Did you want me to?
It was fun for the people that were there.
It was first time.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, the comment that people had was you didn't know about it. One person said you need to put a sign out by the road starting a week before the event.
Okay, so Chelsea O'Reilly, District Manager. Daniel's here, Public Works Director. He'll eventually be heading up these meetings. We're trying to work on this trend. So, as you see here, this financial report, this is the template that we're gonna be using forward. I know the numbers might not be right. Laura, can you kind of just explain the numbers, how everything's 100%, but then at the bottom it's 95?
Yeah, that's probably because I had a weird formula. Let me check the formula, but it should be 100. Everything is 100. I don't know why it's showing 95. The remaining balance is not correct on one of those, but I'm not seeing it.
So ultimately, this is the format that we're trying to get for all of our subcommittees, just the items that directly relate to what you guys. Each committee. Is this format, are you guys good with this? As you see, there's capital items, mainly
Yeah.
capital items on here. The operational stuff is more internal.
And my intent is to add another column in there so that you can see what's encumbered, which would mean that that's things that we have purchase orders outstanding for. So you know that those dollars are allocated, but they haven't been spent yet. So right now, this only shows what's actually been paid and not what we've actually allocated for work.
This is Dave Ruth. I'd like to ask a question. I know this is just a framework of what you're going to be putting the numbers into. One thing I thought was missing, improving the old dog park. And then next year, there would be the new dog park moving over maybe to the fun park. Which there seems to be, like, in my mind, there would be a cost to do one thing, and then next year, we're gonna tear all that out and resurface it and use it for parking. So there would be a cost that we're, really losing, which we're gonna be improving something and then tearing it out, a year later.
Sure.
So I'd like to kind of know some of those numbers, if there's things like that that we're doing to any of the areas that we're responsible for.
I don't think we were going to improve it.
Dollars.
Just says dog park to fun park.
I know what that's gonna, I know what changing it from the dog park to the fun park, but
Well, this is for 2024, that's for 2023.
Right.
So it's not in here.
It's not in here. It says 2024 budget.
This is mainly capital items, not operational. So if there's R&M items to the existing dog park, like replacing some sod because the dogs dig to China, we have, that comes out of R&M. New capital stuff, this is the majority of the capital items.
yes, okay, I understand.
Like we put back the shade that was there. I think there was a tree that came down after Ian. We replanted that. That was within the last year. So we do recognize that we have to maintain what we have at least until the new park comes online.
This is Ed Moore. Where does this sound stage fall into this? Is that under the amenities, Parks and Recs, building amenities?
You mean the amphitheater at the Commons Park? That would be, that is a whole another animal. That would come as part, you have to go through design before you can go through construction. So, the board, the engineers are working on drafting the scope, and price. And we're hoping to bring that, to the next board meeting.
Okay.
Based on the, phase 1 plan that was recommended by this committee and then approved by the Board of Supervisors. So that'll be included as part of that.
Perfect.
And so there's no funding currently allocated to the construction of that because we're not at that phase. Understood.
We're looking at 2025 for that discussion.
That's safe. That's because we have to go full through design, 30, 60, 90% design, 100, and then typically you apply for permits at 90%. We'd have to apply for DEP, South Florida, Lee County, and that would all require a DO, a development order, which that's a lengthy process that we have to go through. So I bet easily 2025. We started the admin building over a year ago and we're still in permitting. So
Okay, so what we see, so what we see on the 24 budget is stuff that's going to happen is 2024.
that's the plan. That's the goal. And the majority of these items, Daniel's kind of already headed up and got either the ball rolling or we got the ball in our hand,
Right.
getting ready to roll it. Keep in mind, we're literally a month into the new fiscal, so we've been short-staffed and I don't think we told you all, but Tim gave notice and today is his last day, so we're actively recruiting his replacement. And we'll go from there. So
This is Dave Ruth again. A question for you. Why is Parks and Rec responsible for the signs for the area? So it's on monument signs and the lighting, the holiday lighting. Are we,
no, I don't know.
should that be in this?
We'll remove that from here moving forward. Yeah. I think that was part of the bond, and I think it was probably just a copy paste over.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you for calling it out.
And I have another question, Miss Maria. What is covered under general district events and does it fall under us?
Well, partially, yes. Part of the Public Works Parks and Rec Department puts on these events. As of right now, Winterfest, we actually have that, I don't know, is that on this agenda? For you guys to discuss at what district events do we want to sponsor and what others are community sponsored. So that budget basically was Winterfest. And I believe the Red, White and Pool event was the intent. Now, of course, if we can get donations that help offset that, then it expand our events more. But we're trying to make the biggest bang with our buck that we have. So the board has approved $30,000. So we'll get this updated. Again, it's a new fiscal year, so that's why you see 100% numbers here. And of course, as we spend, you'll see the percentages and everything else change. Seven A.
Yes.
Okay, long standing item. You'll recall months ago, we were contemplating, putting disc golf course down the FPL easement. It's taken me this many months to get a response from FPL. But I finally got a response. The initial response was, no, you can't. I'm like, okay, well, can you tell me why? My grandmother raised me to ask why. So this is the response that we got, of their guidelines. And of course, Tony, our attorney, wanted to have some input and say, because we have existing infrastructure out there, such as ponds that, don't go by these guidelines, but those are pre-existing and were part of the original, DRI of Gateway. So, ultimately, we can close this now that we know from FPL we can't put this golf course down there that would attract additional users to it. So.
Well, Ms. Maria, I have a question. What can we do with that space? Can we turn it into with minimum, but is there any way, since we're also pre-existing, like the ponds are, can we develop anything else with attorneys' advice? Can we get around to not around them, but with the rules in mind? Can we take advantage of that space for something? Can it be, I know it's an unofficial biking trail now, walking trail, but can we do something? Can we put something there that would have like maybe toilets or maybe games along the way, anything?
This is Daniel. After reading the guidelines that were given to us from FPL, the only use that it can be really used for is a walking path. Beyond that, any additional infrastructure on it is not going to be approved. And then anything that would attract you to come off of the actual trail itself will not be approved either. So just a very flat no.
No.
So I know that's not the answer we want, but it's a very flat no.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's a way around things to.
Robert Lewis here with a comment.
Legal way.
Yeah.
Question I would have is South County Park in Punta Gorda has a disc golf course. And I believe FPL controls the electric there, and it is directly below their electric lines.
Bob, can you send me the name of that, and I'll be more than happy to send that off to the woman who replied and say, hey,
South County Park in Punta Gorda.
you approved it. Okay, we'll follow up. I can say, look, you set the precedence here, you approved it here, why didn't we not have
And
it?
their power lines are a lot lower to the ground than the ones back here.
Yeah, we can make the request,
Thanks.
absolutely, awesome. And we're good with that, we'll follow back up at your guys' next meeting, as long as we get a response from her.
Right.
This is Dave Ruth. I think you could ask a couple of questions about, well, what could we do? What would you allow us to do based on your laws or rules or whatever? Like, could we put some signage along the path or some exercise kind of markers along the path where, people would stop and they would step up or do something along the walk path?
I would suggest that, because if you ask an open-ended question without any guidance,
Yeah.
they're gonna just say
No.
no. But if
No.
you guys came up with specifics, that I'd be more than happy to ask them those types of questions.
What about like the gardens over there? I mean, you can see you could put trees growing less than 14 feet high. You can have an irrigation system back there. Non-metal material.
Community gardens along the way.
That's a good tip. You guys wanna ask that?
What's that in your chart?
I'm sorry, my apologies, I spoke over you. This is Maria, what about the community gardens? There's so much space.
I can ask that.
It's
And I can
very
do
low,
your
all it
signage.
needs is water.
Yep.
And dirt, which is already there.
We can ask that. Signage, community gardens. the little workout stations.
Scout
Dave
station.
said, yeah, we can ask those questions.
Robert Lewis here with another question. It seems that the linear park that FPNL said we could have as park is not going to be really tremendous contribution to the community. Does the district have to pay additional insurance and any other additional expenses by taking in that linear park?
We've already accepted the properties, so we've already bit that bullet.
Okay,
I will tell you at the last board meeting, the board discussed this and they talked about, you know, finishing out the paving and making it a true loop. So that was something that they suggested. I believe the paving stops kind of by Hampton Park and from there north, it's gravel or dirt. So that was something that they made mention of, you know, and then of course the interconnectivity to the commons parcel, that was imperative. So those were just two comments of feedback from the board. Even if we're restricted to just a linear park, you know, I don't see why we couldn't paint. You're at mile 1, mile 2.
Yeah.
This is Maria. Now that you mentioned paint, I mean, there are several games that we could paint along the way that kids can jump to or play to. And it doesn't barely cost anything. It will certainly not break any rules. And it will be a nice addition.
We'll ask that too.
We have any, this is Dave Ruth, do we have any understanding of how many people actually use that walking path or bicycle? Okay, because sometimes we get caught up trying to do something and then people go, I'm not going over there. I'm afraid to walk on that path. You know, there's no lighting, there's no, so I can see us doing a bunch of things and them not taking their kids over there or whatever. So I'd like to have more of an understanding of how it's being used now, or I don't know how we get that information, but then we can make a better determination of what kind of games or things need to be done.
This is Maria. I go there and walk a lot. I've been there several times. I walk my dog, walk with my husband, and I always see people either with bikes or on foot, people with pets. I see ladies with strollers. I can't say that I see 50 people every time I go, but every time I go, there's people there. I have never been there to where there's no one,
Yeah. same.
even in the middle of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely not jam, but there's a couple of people that are walking around.
Yeah, you always see at least 2-3 people.
Next,
Good feedback.
park rules and regulations.
So let me just preface. I believe the attachment is incorrect. I pulled this item from a previous board meeting and I believe that board meeting had, or your PrAC meeting had that wrong attachment then. So this was one of those things, I was speaking with one of the board members and it was like, hey, we talked about this and then it died off. We need to see this through.
It's not the one I have worked on.
Okay.
There's definitely something missing.
Okay, well, we'll try to circle back to that and make sure we get the correct one, but
So we're going to table it.
this isn't a rush priority. It's a, hey, we've invested time into it. You know, it's our goal to get approval and adoption of this and then get the board's approval and adoption of this, and then after that, make all of our signage uniform. Right now, there's a hodgepodge of signage out there, so is there any, 30,000 foot comments that you guys have on what we've got here?
I have a comment, Robert Lewis, regarding the park rules and regs. There was a section in there about renting the pavilions. And I wanted to have a discussion about the pavilion rental. Is this an appropriate time, Chelsea?
No?
Okay, so here's the situation. We currently have 2 pavilions, both are over at Gateway at Sherman Complex. One's in the front, one's in the back. If you are defined as a group, you have to pay a fee of $85 in order to reserve one or both of the pavilions, for $85 for each. Now, if it's being used for a private affair, like somebody's birthday party, a graduation party, anniversary party, and it's private and the public is not able to participate, private party, I personally don't have an objection to paying a fee for the usage of the facility. What I have an objection to, however, is if a public group wants to use it and the Gateway public is invited. So here's where I'm coming from. I've been contacted by people that would like to have a music venue where the public could be invited to use at the pavilion. I have the gal that would like to do a drum circle. I have people that would like to do music jams at the pavilion. And if I just call people on the phone and say, it's not, you can go online, you can see it's not being used, you just go over there, because when it's not reserved, it's public space. However, if you put a notice on, for example, Facebook, hey, at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, meet at the Sherman Complex and at the pavilion, and we're going to have a music jam. If you advertise it, that makes you a group, and then you have to pay the fee, and that's what I object to. And I think if our committee is in agreement the way I feel to separate out that which constitutes a totally private rental of the pavilion versus something that would be of a benefit to the community, to waive that fee. And so I think if everybody's kind of in favor of that, we could make that as a recommendation to the board.
Bob, let me counter but not counter. So Bob and I previously talked about this earlier this week, and the board, as part of adopting the fee schedule, we went round and round with the board about similar comments. Because technically it's a public park, but then at what point do you have to pay to rent those facilities, albeit the soccer complex, the fun park, the pavilion, you name it. And so what we landed on, and I believe the fee schedule says that, but of course the fee schedule gets updated every year and the board of supervisors has the final say, but if it's an organized event, they pay. And if it's an unorganized event, then it's, and that's the rule of thumb that we've been using. Now, we've had some birthday rentals and, but for the most part, if it's an organized league, organized play structure, we've had, I think a mother who had some young children that all played soccer, that they wanted a designated spot on the soccer field. She paid, although she was a resident of Gateway, she paid because it was an organized practice. So that's how operationally we've been proceeding. Now, you guys can discuss this and we can take it up the chain to the board.
This is Ed Moore. The difference between an organized event and an unorganized event, would that be something like the organized event definitely has a place on the calendar for it, and of course, money.
Yes.
That an unorganized event, somebody could not come out simply because they're paying. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, it gets gray with Parks and Rec, and every Parks and Rec place around kind of deals with these same growing pains. So did you have a chance to see what Lakes Park, how they handle their pavilions? Okay, so one of,
Quite frankly, I don't care what other parks do. It's what I'm more concerned what we do in our park,
okay.
you know, and
So I had suggested to Bob, let's look at what other parks and rec amenities do and how they handle this. I know Lakes Park is a perfect example, and they have a Celtron and they rent out the pavilions. But I think this is a question of, hey, you have a group of residents that want to get together to do a drum circle or a band or flying a kite, those types of things. How does that get handled? Right?
in a pavilion. So for example, the other public spaces, let's say we wanted to do the drum circle and we wanted to do that not in the pavilion, but we wanted to do it, next to the parking lot where there's grass and set up over there. That is a totally public spot for which there is no fee schedule. And we could advertise, I would assume we could advertise that we're going to meet on the south end of the parking lot.
And when you say we, you mean like Bob Lewis resident?
Good Gateway residents who might want to meet for the drum
Okay.
circle. See, the problem is if I was to put in, we're going to have a music jam Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. $85. Well, one person might show up, or 5 people might show up, or, 100 people might show up. I don't know. But I don't want to be on the hook for $85 or any amount, not knowing, who's going to show up. It's a public event.
This is Maria. I have a big reservation about a no fee. Pavilion, because then you're constantly sort of inviting people to come and go as they wish. We may not know it's an organized event, but they may bring their groupies. And we don't know who they're going to be and what they're offering to our residents that may be there. I think we're opening ourselves up too much to a can of worms. And my opinion is that the fee is low enough to where a group can rent it if they want it. It's like you said, a private citizen did it for the soccer team. It's not a $500 fee. It's $85.
So I think another thing to consider, and Bob, I don't mean to be like the anti of your idea. But another concept, and let's take what we just talked about with FPL. You're enticing people to come for something that is not the typical use. So if is the soccer complex, the typical use is congregation for soccer leagues, events like football, etc. That's something else to consider as you guys are discussing this.
It is, well, I think the fees should stay where they are personally.
This is the Ruth. If we had any problems with people going there with their families, and just setting up in the pavilion and not paying a fee,
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
Not
to my knowledge, no, sir.
Yeah. because that's happened at the pool. And I don't know if, right now, I don't even know if there's a rule for the pool area. There's a covered area that people can rent, or at least to be able to rent. And, if it's like $35, like, I don't even know what the number was. But anyway, they come in there with their kids and have a birthday party. And then there's other times when people just come in there and have a birthday party. And then people are going, well, you can go into there. And nobody in the water really cares because it's not affecting what they're doing. But, I assume we still have a fee for that.
Yes,
And that there's a way to control that,
yes.
but there didn't seem to be a way to control that at times. Because I know of like at least 3 times where people have come in from other places. Let's say Lehigh. And they would come in and they could somehow they'd find a way to get through the gates and then once one person got in, the entire community got in that was coming to be part of the birthday party. And it's like, so I'm.
That wasn't recently, was it? Because we've had this new key system in place and we've got cameras, and I know that we've had some party rentals that probably abused their.
I would say
rental.
3 months ago.
Okay,
Was the last time I know of that. But I'm just kind of like curious about what Bob's talking about, because it sounds like if he wants to have a jam or something of any kind, you could like get some of these big tents that they sell at Home Depot, and you go off in the grass area somewhere around the lake and you set up something and that's your public space and you do what? I don't know. But it's like, if you want that pavilion that's already built there, then, I agree with probably what they're saying. Once you have a fee, everybody pays the fee and then it has to be monitored to make sure that I don't come over there with my 32 kids and we set up and have a barbecue that day.
Well, you can do that.
That,
You can do that now in a pavilion.
Yeah.
As a group, if it's not rented out for that time period.
Yeah, but I mean,
So for
I
example,
don't know that it's rented out, but let's say it's rented out, but I just come over there before the group gets there and set up. We're gonna have a war getting, all the people out of there, in the time that they need it.
well, the schedule is online. It's on the.
Did anybody look at Facebook for your event over the weekend? No,
not-
nobody looks at that chart. I don't even know where that chart is.
No, I mean, it's on the CDD website.
Yeah.
It's not on Facebook. It
A
is.
lot of people don't even know the CDD website.
I understand that.
But
But right now, the way it's set up, if we want to, if the gal in the gateway wants to do a drum circle, she can look at the schedule, it's not used, and get on the phone and call her friends and say, hey, this is where we're going to meet for the drum circle. And,
if
as
it's in
long
the
as it's,
pavilion, she has to pay.
no. Only if, because she's not it would only become if she advertises it in social media somehow that they're going to do this, but I don't think she has to pay.
Right, if she wants to be
She's-
guaranteed the spot, she's gotta pay. If not, you do it last minute, 50 of us can go over there right now.
Right,
And it's no difference.
right.
But I've already paid my money. I've already signed up for it.
Right, I understand.
It's on a chart someplace.
Right.
You're gonna move for me.
That's what
I'm
it's
bringing,
supposed
I'm
to
bringing
be.
in the army. You're gonna move for me. And then that's gonna take a half an hour away of getting everybody, unhappy.
So Chelsea, when does it convert from being public space, public usage space versus reserve space? What's the criteria?
An organized event. That's what the board has adopted to this point. If you're an organized event or you're an organized team, whatever it may be, like this, I honestly would consider this, drum circle an organized event.
Even if it's just done over the phone and by word of mouth?
If you are organizing folks to come to the soccer complex, then I would consider it an organized event.
Okay, now what about his suggestion if somebody wanted to bring a 10 by 10 tent and set up in one of the open spaces, not the pavilion? But it's still in parkland, can they do that? Can that be done?
I would say, I mean, technically, if you have a 10 by 10 tent, then you have to have the fire department approve it being set up. But I've also seen some of the soccer folks come out here during parents and set up a tent for shade for their kids. So,
Well, you know what I'm talking about with the 10 by 10.
just a square pop-up tent.
Yeah,
Honestly, the cleanest thing to do is to just organize it, rent the pavilion, pay the fee as a gateway resident, which is a discounted rate than your non-gateway residents. And then this is not a discussion anymore.
This is Maria. I just think that I see where you're going with this, but I think we're not in shortage of public places to have something like that. If somebody wants to do it for free, they can go to Fort Myers Beach and do it. Nobody will say something. Sort of, because there's restrictions even there too. So I think with building and creating things, there needs to be rules, because if it's a free for all, you're opening yourself up to a whole lot of trouble. And we're going to face that trouble later on. We need to come to terms that we have to have rules and they need to be respected. So we don't want to open ourselves up to the wrong crowd that could be. I might want to have a bunch of friends and have a semi-nude bikini contest. Is that acceptable? Or when the soccer mothers are going to bring their children next to me and I just go pop off my tent and do it. I mean, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying we could be inviting the wrong crowd. You don't know, people nowadays think crazy things, and God knows they do. We don't want to open ourselves up to any of that. That's just my opinion.
So can I dovetail with that? I think we know that these park regs and rules, we need to review and edit and amend and tweak and adopt. We've got a couple weeks until the next meeting. I don't know if you wanna, and I so you don't care what other entities do, but I think that's a good starting point, is to see how other Parks and Rec amenities, albeit Cape Coral, Naples, the county, how they handle these similar situations. And let's start there and then do a little bit of homework from there. And then come up with what we think is, recommend what is best to the board.
I mean, on the budget as an amphitheater, are you going to be having the same role that if people want to come down and play musical instruments there, they're going to have to run it?
I would say yes, personally, from a staff perspective, I would say yes. Because you have, and we have it here with the leagues, we take a deposit if there's any damages done, if there's litter that has to be picked up. I mean, you have an organized event coming to a space, although public, that could burden staff, and so there should be, and if it's organized, then there should be some costs associated.
At our HOA, we have a pool and we charge for birthday parties. If you're gonna just come to the pool and hang out, cool, all day long, bring your family, bring your friends, all of that stuff. But if you're gonna have a birthday party and you're gonna pretty much take over the pool and you're gonna have balloons and bring in, whatever, you have to rent the pool, period. Because we have costs in cleanup and all of that stuff. So if you're going to hang out, awesome. But if it's a birthday party or an organized event at our HOA pool, you have to pay.
And I have one more comment, just since we're talking about things like that. I think that in the rules that we're still working on, there should be rules for the rental and who is able to rent it, because public is a lot of people. How about if a skinhead group wants to rent it and play their music with God knows what lyrics or whatever, is that acceptable? Or gateway?
I think that should be an administrative function. Truthfully, but that's a good point that you need to evaluate,
Maybe
maybe.
to evaluate who
Well,
is renting it and what.
I know one of the things when I was at the beach for special events, and of course it's honor system, but how many people do you anticipate coming to this event? And if it's between 0 and 50, it's a lesser fee. If it's between 51 and 100, a little bit more expensive, so on and so forth. So I think that is more appropriate than dictating the acceptable events that you allow at these amenities. I think that's an administrative function that you give us the guidelines, we'll take care of it. Yes.
See, the Siesta Key Drum Circle outside of Sarasota, they don't pay a fee to play their drums on the beach, and it literally attracts thousands of people. But it also brings a lot of money into the area. We're coming into it with what Maria was talking about, control of the groups. We're coming into an election year next year. Are people allowed to rent? I would only do for myself, but can people rent it for a political rally?
Why would they not be?
Yeah.
They could rent this room, they could rent a pavilion, they could rent the lower end of the pool. To us, it's revenue. I don't care if it's Sally's having her 8th birthday or you're having your rally or whatever. And if you've rented, if you've rented the whole facility, that's a whole different conversation, but, I mean. That is my personal opinion. So. You guys, again, this is the rules and regs. You guys can make recommendations and take it up the board. And if the board has issues with, ultimately the board has the final say. So if the board doesn't want rallies at the pool and they only want to keep the rallies at the boardroom, that can be approved as part of the Parks and Rec rules and regulations. Right, did we beat a dead horse or? Let's do it. Okay. All right, so we'll be sure to get the correct version on here. I apologize for that. We'll get the correct version and then give it to you guys or as part of the next agenda and keep discussing it, keep fine tuning it. So.
Next item up is the park playgrounds, the USA playground options that were given. Given several quotes. Some people gave us back some quotes, but didn't give us great imagery to go with it. So.
I didn't see costs as a deep root. I didn't see cost for, I did on the very first one. I forgot who that guy is.
There was an
So-
email today. Did you see that?
Uh,
Today's email, did you see that?
I didn't,
Yeah, they sent a new.
a cost for all the different,
No, there was one for,
Comp plan. So we amended I think Maria, you had sent a note into Georgia.
yes, it did, because there wasn't.
Didn't realize that some of that, well, also, we've been getting the proposals in, so I didn't realize that we missed the compan one, which I think we just got last week, so the agenda was amended to include it, so I apologize.
okay.
Going through in your agenda packet, there are some pictures and quotes associated with some of those pictures for the structures that last time that we met, we discussed, what was your top 3 priorities for the parks at the commons. Several items that we went to the vendors and asked them to give us kind of like, we gave them a ballpark number of what we had budgeted for and what they could put together for us. And some of these packages represent what they gave us.
Who handed this out, just so we can document?
I did, I just,
Yeah, just make sure it's in the record. Okay.
Well, the Swartz Group, which is the one I like the least, it was $112,000, okay? And according to that little chart you gave us, there's $100,000 for the park. So it's like all of these things kind of need to come back with, what can you give us for $100,000? Right? Because I like, there was the one group, and I think it's Coma.
Compan.
Okay, I got half of it cut off there. Yeah, with the dome and some of those structures and stuff, and those are the wow. When you said you wanted something that was a wow rather than just a park. The first one was just, to me, like every place I've ever seen as a kid. Okay, with my kids and 30 years ago. Okay, but this one seemed to be more interesting. in
The
terms of-
compan one?
Yeah,
I liked, the compound one and the one meal today. The best. I honestly was highly disappointed with these because I had those in my playing ground in 77 when I was 6. And, kids now are much more mature. They're much more imaginative.
that's
And
why.
it needs to be something more creative. And I love this.
Mhm.
this is.
I love this. This is amazing.
Than this, okay.
Like the Explore Dome here, all this, we need to have some more interest. Kids are more intuitive, I don't know, we just need to have something better. If we waste all this time, then excuse my value. To just do the bare basics, it is a waste of our time, to be honest.
So again, these were given to vendors and given very broad guidance to give us back some proposals. Oh, what we asked last time when we came in was for subcommittee to look at what your priorities are. We gave some brochures out. I know we emailed some brochures out as well to go in and narrow in and say like, hey, I want a swing set. I want a swing slide. These are my priorities, and for you to vote on it. That way I can go back out with a more refined what we're looking for. And then they can come back, the vendors can come back with a more honed in what we're looking for based off the guidance from the subcommittee here.
This is it. Can I briefly go over
Please.
my thoughts on this? Okay, so on the toddler one, I don't know how much space we have for toddlers, so some of these are just picking bits and pieces. And I like the section to the right of it, more so than the one with the sliding house and all that. Simply because to me, it looks more like a play area that you have to think about what you have to do, right? Plus there's coordination and, all of that gets involved. The one below that, the preschool, I love the pyramid because that is going to teach kids muscle memory and, all the eye coordination, all of that stuff. Then when we get to the urban arches, if you haven't figured out, I'm all about climbing. I am a rock climber. So any and all of this stuff to me on the top one and the bottom one, you know, the dome, as well as, this thing in the center, it looks like a thing where kids can swing on and go round and round.
Oh, it has so many things
Yeah,
to
I
do.
mean, there's just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Where do you find?
which is the same idea with, excuse me, that the Explore Dome that they have here in our picture. Look how many things you can do in this Explore.
Oh,
Dome.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's, to me, that's something creative that, and invites, it invites so many children and can be playing at the same time
Mhm.
and speak and laugh and interact, which is what our society is missing right now.
Right,
Yeah, it's nice when you have one structure with multiple.
Multiple, yeah.
exactly.
And then we can add a swing set to that and maybe a slide, you're in business, that's all you need.
And then the very last one, it's basically cut up into 3 sections. I really like this top one because it serves the 5 to 12 group.
And where did you find this one from?
That was in the links that you sent from
Compan? Okay, all of these were from Compan, maybe? Okay, that's
No.
okay.
But I will revise my document and I will.
Okay, that helps us. Just
I
like
took
that.
pictures, maybe, I took pictures of what I liked.
And then I found these down here where you can actually create different heights of climbing sections, you know, for the different size of kids, you know. You got the tower, you got the, 5 to 12, you got 12 plus. So we can, we could, in effect, create a road. I understand, that these, they come in packages, which are less expensive than selecting the overall. I do get that, but if we can get the right structure, like you said, and then add a swing or add a slide, I think we'd be in business.
You could very easily do that with this concept.
You really could.
Right.
This last page. Yeah.
This is Maria. I actually, there's both, there are both, it could be from the Berliner.
It is, it is.
The Berliner.
Yep.
Because both Compan and Berliner have similar structures, and those are the 2 books that I like the most. And I have taken pictures of what I like the most. And those are right along the lines with that.
So
Okay.
I'll caveat under that. Those 2 providers are your most expensive.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Shorts is up front is actually probably your lower end bid. And that's why they were up in the front end, because they were more closer to what we had budgeted
Mhm.
for this. If you start looking at Compen and Playmore for the Berliner, their prices typically are a little
But the
like
one-
double, triple of what.
But the one that you sent today was only 120 something thousand, which is not a huge difference from where we are.
Yes,
And
and
it
there's
is,
still site work that's associated with it as well. So there's a little bit more beyond just what that sticker price is. And then you gotta do the install as well.
well, you get what you pay for. So I said, I'm always a believer of what, if you do something, you do it right. We can start with doing the main structure now and maybe tag on to next year's budget the rest.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be all now. We can develop it, we can put a main structure in and have a beautiful sign that says this is a project.
Yeah, no worries.
In the works and next year we're adding more exciting things and that'd be it.
Even the trail you just had up, I mean, that one was good, it had slide in it, had multiple. What is it? Kapunji Trail?
Yes.
This one?
No,
No.
this one.
Harley. Yes.
Okay.
And then, the column, you put a swing set up and a couple of those little,
Exactly.
whatever they are, these things, the flower lily things that you could, a couple kids could go on and go back and forth. Then you're good.
There's all the companies, and especially the Compan and the Berliner, they did offer a lot of other accessories, for lack of a better term, that you can add. And I really love that idea, because later on, we could even find sponsors to add something, a company that would like to add a slide or this or that. And I really think we need to develop something that's worthwhile, that will get people excited, that you can go and see 50 kids playing.
Yeah.
So based on the material that was provided, is there an action or emotion behind what you would like us to move forward with? Any, what do you actually want us to refine down to so that we can start looking for
I
specifically
would
those
make a
things?
motion to approve either the Kapunji Trail or the one you sent today, which I forget the name, I'm sorry.
The Berlin.
Yes. The Berlin one,
I would second that motion.
with
Seconded with discussion?
with adding later on more accessories.
I think the Kapunji Trail is gonna have, you see a lot of pieces. You see a lot of things that have to be anchored and all that stuff, where I like the dome and I like this particular one. Because you can add to it. You can add pieces to that. You can make it taller, you can, lengthen it out. For the Kapunji Trail, to me, are a bunch of pieces that have just been connected with ropes and a couple other things. So I like the idea of the two groups and having them compete to give us, what can you give us for $100,000? Okay, or what can you give? And then every year we add a component for a piece based on, whether we get somebody to donate parts or pieces. We just lengthen it out. Now, are we talking about this right now being in the fun part? Or are we talking about it being?
No, this is at the commons.
This is the comment.
The where?
The commons.
The common.
Common core. Okay. Where would that be located?
Sorry,
Just behind the pool.
you wanted to see.
Behind the
I did, I'm trying to catch up.
people
with
would
you,
park
like-
in the pool parking lot to go to it.
Thank
That
you.
whole area is being developed out. There's gonna be more parking spaces.
More parking.
That's where the admin building's gonna be.
Right.
There'll be pickleball, basketball, a lot more parking is gonna be available, but yes.
This would be incorporated as part of the phase 1 of the master park plan. So once you kind of get an idea of the one that we like, we can give that to the architects and the engineers to make sure it fits.
Place.
Yes,
Okay.
they have an idea of where it should go, but we want to make sure whatever is selected fits.
Correct. So you can see in this one, it's kind of templated. This at the bottom of this picture is the pool area.
It won't be within the same fence as the pool, it'll be its own separate standalone. I guess the district learned that hard lesson however many years ago. I guess there used to be a playground structure in the pool area or something.
Mhm.
So I have a question for our engineer with Robert Lewis. Our sun here in Florida is pretty darn hot, and I can't imagine kids sliding down a hot sliding board if it's not shaded. And number two, I think you're gonna have to build into the budget maintenance because the ropes, I don't know how long they're gonna last. And with the UV damage that's going to occur. Also, I would imagine that somebody from your department would have to have a schedule to inspect the ropes and the structures to make sure that nothing's broken. First would be as if something broke and somebody got injured. So those need to be factored in
Well,
also.
We would review, again, depending on the one that you selected, the warranty. And make sure whatever that warranty period is, typically use. It doesn't fall under warranty, like wear and tear from use, kind of like your tires in your car don't fall under warranty. But all of that, maintenance would have to be incorporated as part of the O&M operation and maintenance, year over year.
On
So
the,
we didn't vote because I motioned and you seconds, but we didn't go anywhere.
What do we want
Well, is there
to, a few things?
so typically you motion, vote, or second with discussion, you have discussion and then you call for a vote. So if you'd like to keep discussing, what was the motion to go?
So do we want to name just a few of these and then?
The motion was to go either with the one that was emailed today, and I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, so I forget the name. Or the,
Was it this one?
the what trail? The Kapunji Trail. I prefer the one that was emailed today, but because it's that dome structure that can be shaded and I know that, but that was my motion to go with one of the two.
What's that?
Yes.
What's that?
But this is
The other was the Explorer.
the
Dome.
one that was emailed today is along the lines of this.
So there's the Explorer Dome, this.
Then you can add,
Okay.
there's a lot of
This
things
is the
to
one.
add to it.
From today.
This one.
This is this,
Right,
the one that you have, that you see up.
Basically very similar to that.
Yeah.
What you see up is the one that was mailed to, emailed today.
So,
No,
this one, this one,
no, it's not this one. She says it's this
No,
one.
this
It's
one.
not this one.
that's the one.
It's this one. It's
This,
this one.
Is it that one?
It's this one.
yeah, that one.
This one.
Is it the Explorer Dome?
So that's the one that Ed,
Right, we have a letter, is the one, I apologize. We've had so many communications with these different vendors, keeping which one straight.
Okay.
This is an alternative series that, which.
so David, this is the one that was emailed today, and there's a lot of things you can add to this.
definitely.
I just think this is great because you can add slides, you can add
Yeah.
all the other components. It's like I don't like things that are like spread apart. It just seems like you could have a unit here and you could have a unit there, but it doesn't have to be like all connected with wires or ropes or whatever.
This Berliner is just like it, David. Just like the one you look in the paper,
This one's,
the one on your screen now, it's the same.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that.
Well, you guys are, so the motion's been first made and then seconded, so you're discussing, so are there any, what's the quote on here or no? We have the quote, like, the actual price for this one.
It's 120 something. I caught a glimpse of it.
That's the Berliner, that's right.
What's page one? Right
There,
There
there
it is.
Yeah, so it's 123,000.
So it's a little bit more than the budget that we have.
We can
Then add
build the original piece.
that or this system.
This is more expensive.
Yeah.
I remember that because that was my first law.
Well, we get into this, like, this is not so expensive enough, this is more expensive, it's got all to do with the joints and the maintenance and all that kind of stuff. You know, some of these things are, will fall apart. One will fall apart in 5 years, the other will fall apart in 7 years. So you're gonna pay more for this guy than this guy. So,
Well,
I think you gotta look,
check the
you
one.
gotta look at two or three things and compare the two. Even though there might be more expensive, maybe you
Okay,
do,
so let's. get
maybe
a
you do
quote for
this
the
part
one that-
year one and you expand it to that year two. So,
okay, so, Maria, I think you were alluding to where you and I are on the same page. What Dave's point is to bring back the Berliner with the warranty, do a cross comparison,
Yes,
cost comparison, cross comparison, warranties, et cetera, lead time on equipment, things like that for, the Berliner series and
and
then,
this one.
and this one,
Mhm.
is that the spongy?
No, no, it's not. This is the other book that.
I'll get that to you.
Okay, that'll let us know, so then we can reach out to.
Well, that's the thing, why don't we pick 3 or 4 of them, and if it's not in the budget for 1 or 2, and
I would be between those two and. we
and
don't-
the budget was a guesstimate,
Yeah, exactly.
right? At the
The budget-
beginning. it was
right,
a
but if they're
guesstimate.
both over, which one of them already is.
Yeah,
But it
he
was a
don't-
guesstimate.
this has two
$100,000
components.
was our guesstimate. If we would have had this information to begin with, well, our budget would have been 150,000.
Right, but in the budget, right now, it's 100,000 for the playground.
I understand. Just saying that was a guesstimate. That was just somebody guessed that number.
Yeah,
Whether it be Tim or it was.
Is that a guesstimate, or is that what's budgeted for next year? It's 100,000.
The approved budget for it.
So it's approved, it's 100,000, it's not a guesstimate, that's what it is. And this is over.
So,
Then we don't do it until we get $150,000.
Well, that's
Lot-
another discussion, but
let me see if I can help. So you both are correct. So there's $100,000 in this fiscal year budgeted. The number was estimated last in May on what we thought based on a smaller footprint playground. So that's how we got to $100,000. Now if you change that, of course, the number is going to change. I would not anticipate this going in, because we have to go through the design and the permitting and everything. So I don't see construction of this happening for another year, truthfully. So you're both right that we only have 100, it's not enough. Could we wait and ask the board next year for another $23,401.15? You could make that request out of the budget. There's other funding sources that are out there that, have a conceptual idea of what they're gonna be used for, but those could be repurposed or reallocated. But I would suggest that you guys pick two, no more than three options that we can do, Excel cost analysis, warranties. What do we think's best?
I'm fine with those two. We don't, so you don't think that's that bad.
So do you need to amend your motion to say?
Yes, I'm gonna amend my motion. I would like a cost comparison with the one we have now. The name is again,
Berliner?
the Berliner, and the other one that Ed has, which if my memory serves me right, they're a tad more expensive. But we will see. And then when we get the cost comparison, if we don't want to ask Santa Claus for $23,000, which I think is reasonable, given the fact that the cost
It's a long motion.
keeps rising.
The long motion.
Yes, okay, I make a motion to get the cost comparison between the two companies for similar structures as we agreed, most of us agree, and go from there.
I would second that.
Second for discussion. Any further discussion, right?
Yeah, this is Dave Ruth again. This Explorer Dome, which is made by the same company, is the one that Ed's kind of show. I think that ought to be thrown into the mix too, in terms of either this, let's call this other one a hexagon. Okay, and this is a dome, okay? So the hexagon versus the dome from, what is that, compound, okay? And then the Berliner, or the one that she was,
I think we're talking about the same thing.
I was talking about something different.
no, we're not, this is,
Talking about that.
Oh, you're talking
I'm
about that.
talking about,
Okay,
that is the third, to me.
okay, so that would be the third.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
I think that's fair.
So
I'm fine with that.
you wanna call for a vote,
Call for a vote,
favor,
all in favor?
Aye.
vote? Motion passed unanimously. Okay, Daniel's got his marching orders. Aye.
All right. So next item on the agenda is for the Parks and Rec annual event calendar. In the past, events have been non-formally recognized and passed through Gateway. So there's sponsored events, Winterfest, some of the other bigger,
Red, white and pool,
White and Pool.
fishing.
They're sponsored events, but they're not official and haven't been documented. As I take over the role here, I'm trying to document what are Gateway sponsored specific events. And I've gone back over historical events that have not been officially, sanctioned or sponsored by Gateway, but really have. And I'm trying to document it and get your feedback on if there's any other type of events that you would like to see added to the annual calendar for sponsored events, or if there are something that you would just don't want to see, it's something that's in the past that we don't think or feel is a good event for Gateway to sponsor. And I've gone ahead and I've attached a worksheet in here that outlines all of the current items that we see as events. So Music in the Park was not an annual event, but that was one that was just added in there, and that was a resident sponsored event. But underneath that, all the other ones are community fishing tournaments, Winterfest, Easter egg hunts, Memorial Day tribute, flag park.
These are not like set in stone other
No.
than Winterfest.
Not set in stone, but these are the ones that I have templated that I think that I'm gonna make my Parks and Rec division go forward with this year. Looking for more guidance from you as to what events you would like to see as Gateway sponsored and planned and coordinated events. And these are the historical events that have happened in the past. So just looking to see what you would like to see in the future. Again, specific, not individuals coming together, but a gateway driven event. Based on what was the past practice and what we're looking to do in the future. And then I'm trying to codify it, make it more formal so that we have a schedule for the annual and we can advertise it. These are the big events well out in advance. We can get the signs made. We can do a lot more prep work to get the community more involved in the Gateway sponsored events.
This is Ed. I would like to have a taste of Gateway. I think a taste of Gateway would be very appropriate. Restaurant,
That is
What
also.
is that?
it's wonderful.
Food truck?
That's food trucks.
So,
I'm talking about actually having like
The restaurant.
Carla,
the restaurants.
do you have a resident that would like
Can I
to
just
make
chime in
it?
on this one?
Of course.
So I think Flavia Walsh, resident of Magnolia Lakes. So I think besides Ed and maybe David, so we had Taste of Gateway before. It was not a sponsor, an event sponsored by the district, but I don't know if you guys recall, it's right across what the fire station lot is. And usually Danny Grimes is one of the events, he puts it together to participate, but they will have all the restaurants from Gateway. They all participated. And plus other food trucks, they came in, they have activities. So after COVID, that's when it stopped, but that's something that they used to have. And I don't know if they're gonna be able to have now because the location, the roundabout. So that is definitely something that I, as a resident, will absolutely support because it's something that we started and it only stopped because of COVID and then we had the construction. But my reflection, every single one of the restaurants in Gateway and the vicinity were participated. Fine Folks Pizza, the Rock Sushi, the Tavern, Norman Love. It was a lot of it, and it was a really big event. So that's all.
So perhaps we could, if this committee recommends putting it on, perhaps we could work to collaboratively with Benny Grimes since they used to put it on and probably give us some tips.
I would make a motion to sponsor something like that. I think it's an awesome idea. It would help promote the local restaurants and the businesses of the area. People will get to know some of them.
So your motion was to
I motion to actually sponsor an event with Taste
Taste of Gateway.
Gateway.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
The second for discussion? Was that your,
what's the motion?
To do Taste of Gateway.
to add as a community center?
So logistically, how does it work? The vendors will set up
Set up booths and
remotely, or you have to go to the restaurant?
Set
No,
up-
set up- Have a big parking lot, then we'll set up this, some food trucks, events,
I know,
games.
so when we used to have Taste of the Beach, on Fort Myers Beach, we used to shut down a roadway and then those, restaurants would come pitch a tent, tables,
Mhm.
and they'd serve, have a very, very small menu and serve what they're known for. If it's Norman Love, they're probably doing chocolates. If it's Fine Fields Pizza, they're probably doing pizza. And so it's really just a community event that on the beach, I don't know, I think the Chamber of Commerce used to put it on, but if Denny Grimes used to do it, I'm sure we could find out the logistics from them. If there's Flavia, do you know if they charge?
I'm just looking it up now. It was free.
It was a free event.
And it was, the last one was in 2018. It was a
2018.
partnership between Centerville Bank
Oh.
and Danny Grimes.
Danny.
And actually on their Facebook, it actually has a video of exactly
Oh.
the whole setup.
Okay,
So
We could potentially do it at the commons area. I mean, there's so much land there. It would be great, especially
we could do
a
it here.
winter event.
Here,
Right.
parking.
I think this is too small, but,
The soccer complex is too small,
okay, but we have the issue with parking.
but then
It's more than comes.
Wouldn't you want to at least send out feelers to places like Casa Lupito and the Grill and Saucy Meatball to even find out if it was available that they would do it?
I mean, we could, but I think, truthfully, I think it's a good idea.
I
Most
know Fort
places-
Myers downtown has Taste of the Town every year.
Yeah,
It's
but that's
amazing.
Fort Myers downtown. I just put on a music event and only 30 people showed up.
Oh,
so-
don't judge from that because we see.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
It had everything to do with it.
And will they,
It's
Had
like-
everything to do with
It's
everything.
totally different.
They just said 18, every restaurant here does it.
Yeah.
they'll do it?
That's what
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
They just did in the past.
I actually looking through the list, every single one, restaurant here, and then the adjacent one, like Fine Folks, the one, where Norman Olive is, there were two there, Artisan Breads, they also came down, and they had, some had a short menu, some had a special menu for,
So I think for the record, Flavius mentioned that in 2018, pretty much every single restaurant in and around Gateway participated, and I think that if we resurrected that with Sanibel Bank and Denny Grimes, I think that would be a community sponsored event that we could work to coordinate if the committee so recommends that, and then of course we'll take this to the board for their consensus and approval.
I motion for it, so.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
We're still talking.
I,
Still talking.
I would say why reinvent the wheel? If it worked in 2018, we can improve it. Okay, and Denny Grimes, I think, would love it. I mean, he would love to come to this meeting and talk about how they did it before and, you know, working as a team member with us, you know, I think it'd be great. Why move it? You know, it's my first question. Why?
But I think the roundabout is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
It could be a drive-through.
It's good. It's-
like that.
But- Well, that's something that if we are able to partner with those other entities, we could get their input. And if Denny Grimes has been the person that's done it, we could see what they say. Just
I will,
Mike.
okay, I will add the reason why it was that location, because one, the fire station owned half of that lot, and the other half at that time was owned by one of the restaurant owners, so he allowed it. So but now there's a different owner to that land, so the fire station's still there, it's smaller because the county had to take in some. So that may not be feasible because the ownership of that particular area, it's not the restaurant owner anymore, so. But that doesn't mean that it can't be done there, you
I
know,
would be, I mean, I would. I don't know how to say this, say it properly, but finding it, you know, we don't want to, we don't want to have to find it. Over here at the soccer fields, that's, you have to find it.
Yeah.
Coming down the road, which, where do I turn? Turn it here or there, but you know, like, again, the pool area, when they get the new building. Are they gonna build a new building?
We're trying, we're going through permitting like everybody else.
But just someplace that, you know, everybody can see it, everybody can see this big things happening. You know, you see food trucks, you know, like the new backyard social thing that's down here on Tree Line. Is like, I had no idea what that was gonna be, but it's people are, you know, running over each other to get into the place.
Yeah.
But it's like convenient to see it, you know, if you're going down to Malico or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Location can be determined later, right? If we can just.
Yeah.
event.
We could work through, yeah, because depending on the time of year, depending on what's going on, we don't want to compete with other events. So if you guys, again, 30,000 foot suggest that is a district community sponsored event, we can work through the logistics.
We're gonna get a copy of this that you just put up there. Like, I don't have a copy of that.
Yes, I can get you a copy. I can get you a
On
copy.
something that I missed.
It was supposed to be in the agenda packet. I think we might have had a technical.
So,
I just, before I came over here, I made a copy of everything that
We'll print
was
it.
on my
I can get you a
computer.
copy of it.
We'll get it
So
for you.
this is great.
Anybody else like a copy of it? I mean, well, let us update it first. Add the case of.
Update it and just email.
yeah, if you could just-
Please. Yeah, an email would be
Yeah.
great.
Got to call a question, we have a motion.
Good job, Bond. Carly, you can call the question.
So we're gonna,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed unanimously.
Hey, Robert Lewis here. I would like to see added to the calendar from the months of October through the end of April to have a monthly music venue wherever you'd like to do it. You can call it Sunday Serenade for the community to be able to come and find, you know, a group or groups that would like to come here and perform. You can even do a karaoke session.
Oh, is that gonna be a resident sponsor thing, or you want?
No. It's gonna be, Gateway District's gonna pay for it.
Well, Gateway District's paying for it.
Well,
We're picking if we're saying it's a sponsored event, we're doing the coordinations, we're picking the bands, we're picking the things, that's not just a free space for somebody to come and jam.
Right. Right.
You saying you want it monthly?
I like a monthly October during the season.
That's a lot.
That's all. I
So there's a high budget associated.
That's a big
That's too
undertaking.
much.
Yeah, that's right.
That's too much.
I think that's too
You
much.
wanna have one and see how it goes, and then you wanna add to it, then that's
Well,
one thing.
I,
but
you know, I
if
think
they
you
make
can
it six-
have one a quarter, you know, I mean,
Right.
or one every other month, something like that during the
Okay.
season. Because first of all, I think with a, if you're gonna have a regional band, you're gonna wanna charge. Period,
Mhm.
right? And people aren't, depending on who it is, you know, people aren't gonna pay to go see a band every single month. I don't think so. I mean,
Every other month.
I like every other month I could see, or once a quarter, you know, something like that.
Well, the season here really, right, you can't do it during hurricane season, so you're not gonna, so realistically, weather-wise, you can start in October. And, you know, 30% of this community leaves in May.
Mhm.
So I would just do it to the end of, you know, October to May, and then, you know, if you wanna go every other month, so it would be, but you don't wanna do December, December, too busy,
I'm sorry.
unless you want a Christmas concert.
I think some of those could be incorporated with some of the other events. I think that if you get too many things going on, you're gonna compete with yourself.
Mhm.
And that wouldn't be good. You know, for Winterfest, you know, there should be music there. Obviously, you know, with maybe the high school band or, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
But I think that you're just, if you say every month or every other month, you are competing with yourself. Integrate. You can still have it. But integrate it with, so you have double the pull for one massive event, rather than, oh, I'm not gonna go to this one because I just went to the other one. You know, that's my opinion.
I agree with that and partially, and I think that I would start with one and maybe then consider having it taken into consideration this calendar and when in season is. I would consider having 2 a year. That's what I would start with. One in the winter and one in the summer, because we have some other events here that would interfere. And I think that if we have, even though summertime is not in season, there is residents here that are permanent and we need to have something. For not maybe summertime, but it could be early summer, like May, June, to
Mhm.
where it's still early and the heat is not terrible. It
Yeah,
could be end of October before the holiday season stuff starts, or beginning of November, like that 10-20 day period between October and November. And then the summertime, I think that would fill a gap between all our other holiday events without interfering too much and being too much, especially if it's a paid event. But if it's nicely organized with bands that are worthwhile, people would pay to go.
So can I make a suggestion? Because
Mhm.
there's a lot of events on here. It's not just the day of the event. I mean, we started planning Winterfest a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I mean, and that's one of our biggest events. These things take time to coordinate, put on, you know, put out flyers, and if we do banners and all that fun stuff. So, if that's something you would consider, I would recommend you probably take an item off of here then. I mean, we've got 3 fishing tourneys here. Would you opt to remove one of those in lieu of?
so how successful was it?
That was my question.
It was very successful, truth be told, and it wasn't the most opportune time of year to fish, but they caught fish. There was a lot of people.
That was the last one, there was a lot of people.
Yeah, and that was in the off season.
Are all of them successful?
That was the first one that we brought back. And honestly, I would expect them to only get better from that point on.
So if there's only so many things that we can handle in a year. And we have to take something, we just added an item, right? We voted for to add the item with a taste of Gateway. So we have +1 already. So if we look at this, if we were to just test and add for the following year, this one event with the music, just to add a variety too, because I think it's a good idea to add some music to our, which one of the fashion tourneys, tournaments would we, rather temporarily remove? At what time of the year would be more convenient? Or that would be a question for you. To test it out for this following year. To remove one of these and then add,
The fishermen in me for freshwater lakes here, growing up as a Florida native. Winter months, if there's something that's close to a winter month where the cold snaps, you're not really catching much during that time frame. So if I was gonna take anything out, it'd be the one that was
In March.
again.
So
there we go.
Plowing in a cold snap.
I would like to interject something here about doing the test. I believe that if we integrate the music with some of the already planned events,
Yeah.
we get people used to hearing the music, know that we have music, and then you can have a music event maybe the following year. If we don't get them used to music being here, if you just spring it on all of a sudden, that's the gamble, right? If you have good bands during the taste of Gateway or Winterfest or whatever, and it's pleasant music, it's good music to feed the or to please the masses, then when you do spring a music event on them, they already know that it's going to be good. And they will come.
Ron Lewis here. So I have a question with the purpose of why are we doing an amphitheater? If you're only, are you going to have, is it going to be used once or twice a year? Or are you going to have a music event at least, once a month? Because if it's only going to be used once or twice a year, it doesn't make sense to pay to build an amphitheater.
well, we're not speaking about the amphitheater right now. We're far from building the amphitheater.
Well, no, we
We're
moved to
just-
phase one. Our committee last month recommended to the board to move it to phase one. I think Ed made the motion,
Right?
but the reality is if it's, what do we anticipate that it's going to get used?
But yeah, it's also for rentals, but what I'm saying is, we're just considering events for the coming year now. The amphitheater is not gonna be ready this year. Probably is not gonna be ready next year. I mean, we don't know when, so when the amphitheater is built, then we can revisit how many events and so on. But do we worry now about something that's not even, we don't have a permit for? I mean, I would, this is what we're incorporating in the following year. This is what we're talking about now. When the amphitheater is built and it's close to completion, then, exactly, then when we have built up to that, then absolutely. We can handle the events, we can, right?
Can I interject? Because I think Ed had a really good point. What if we incorporated music, a band, into Winterfest is kind of hard because we have the schools come and we have the school bands come and play. So it's kind of, and we do have a DJ. What if we incorporated that with the Memorial Day tribute flag garden, the Labor Day,
I would
4th of
definitely,
July, and
Taste of
the taste, yeah,
there. you've
I
got
mean,
four.
what better goes with food?
What do you
music?
think? What do you think, Bob?
Well, I mean, my experience, coming up from the north is that we regularly, well, we were doing it like every other week. In our park, we knew, we looked calendar, let's go down to the park because there's going to be music there this evening. And it was a very successful program, and I've sent, pictures of, a small township in Pennsylvania, our experience in Ohio, and the community itself got used to knowing, oh, well, on this Sunday afternoon, we're all going to just kind of go over to the park and have we called it Sunday Serenade, just have a pleasant afternoon listening to music, and there was nothing else involved with that. And that's what I would like to bring to our community so that,
I think you would love that. Once we get the amphitheater.
yeah,
I think we just need to
Yes,
see.
we're ahead of ourselves.
But I think if we can incorporate that music with some of these existing, because understand, we don't have a stage. Every time that we have, like for Winterfest, we have to, last time we got the Alliance for the Arts to let us borrow the stage. We don't have the infrastructure right now, and I think honestly, my vision is your vision with that amphitheater. When we get there.
Exactly. I'm
Um,
gonna.
When we get there, yeah, with you. And when we get there. I agree with what you said. I think, and with what Ed said, I think it's awesome. Just incorporate the music now. And by then, when the amphitheater is built, we are going to have already built an audience for it and followers for it.
And the
I think it's gonna be great. And the bands,
Exactly.
and the bands,
Exactly.
and the bands.
So we listed those 4 events. What do you guys think about, we just incorporate the music? Bob, maybe you said you've got a lot of contacts, maybe you can help us find some contacts for some of these bands. I heard a lot of good feedback, even though it was a small group. I did hear a lot of good feedback of the Rushlow and Co. that was there. That it was very good music. So is everybody,
I make a motion to incorporate the music in the events you mentioned, and I think it will be great.
I'll second that we added into the events. Anybody have any discussions or?
So music in the park taken off, is that one I'm hearing? As an event?
That, we didn't.
As an
What's
event?
going on?
it's,
Until the amphitheater's built.
Well, I'm hearing we're gonna do this at 4 different events, We're tying in the music to 4 different events, which you suggested, I agree. Okay,
music at,
I would do it,
music in the park is past tense.
Yeah, that was a.
Yeah, we're
resident.
voting on to incorporate it.
music in the park is one of these other events,
Right, that one's over.
but that one's over.
music.
That's all I. I included, okay. And I think if it's successful, you kind of do it where you've got the people already,
Yes,
you know, like the 4th of July thing is, I think is a successful event. Because you've got the food trucks, you've got all kinds of little vendor people, we got him with his boats. You got you got people coming to the pool for the raffle, you get people coming to the pool to get into the pool. Okay, then you have music on the side that we always had a DJ. The DJ was successful at that event. So, maybe it's a 2-hour event that is attached to, people stay longer if there's something to stay for.
I was going to.
Okay, and
Yes.
the other thing I'm having a problem with, nobody except we're not taking into consideration sometimes when our events are, because we don't look at what's on television. Okay. He was competing with the Ohio State Buckeyes, and half the people down here were Buckeye fans, so they didn't go to the music event because we're competing sometimes. Sometimes we're competing with things that happen in the area, like food trucks. You can go over to, what's that brewery that's here? I don't know what the name of it is, but everybody goes to this on Thursday and Friday nights to where the food trucks are. Okay, and now we've got another big food truck arena down, that I just mentioned. That people are gonna, are gonna be, there's so many of these things that you can do, otherwise you start to go to restaurants and other things. But these things are new novelties now, they're new events. And we can't just bring in a bunch of food trucks and think that people are gonna show up. Because there's too many other places. Lehigh's got 2 or 3 down. If you go down Lee Boulevard, there's, these like 4 or 5 of these.
well, I think that's Daniel's point, is to try to get this schedule down. We've got a full year list of, that we can start to plan ahead,
And advertise.
promote ahead.
Exactly.
And I had an idea on that, which I'll tell you, Soccer Drive is ours. I don't even know I told you. Back in the day on Fort Myers Beach in front of Lonnie Kai, spanning Estero Boulevard, the town had 2 banner poles. And then the Taste of the Town would come up, they'd pay to put a banner up, and staff would put that banner up. So my thought, we own Soccer Drive, especially with all of the leagues and everything, although it's not visible to the general public that who don't normally traverse Soccer Drive, is get some pricing on and putting banners on Soccer Drive of events, as well as, you know, the yard signs. I know Randy was working on a generic Winterfest banner that we can use year over year that isn't date specific, that just says first Saturday in December, because that's typically when it is. That way we're not wasting money year over year on new banners, although nominal, but still, we want to be good stewards.
That's a great idea.
Can't you put a sign on Gateway Commons property also by the road?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Everybody, excuse me,
Yeah.
everybody goes by there at some point.
So
I think that once we get the events down and we have a calendar and it's posted and we consistently advertise it, and like you said, get a couple of banners, we are going to be in business, and maybe we're not gonna get 500 people to an event the first year, but the second one we will. And we have to be a little patient.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah, you have to.
and build up to
educate
it.
people.
It educate people, and, you know, by word of mouth is the strongest advertisement, I think. Once we, and we need to
And
make
next
it
door.
known that these are going to be.
And next door.
And next door.
So I've learned that in Gateway.
Right,
So. Who made the motion? Who?
I made the
You
motion,
And
You
then-
second.
you seconded.
Okay.
All in favor?
What's the motion?
Is that's for incorporating the music into those forums.
Okay.
Anybody else to add to that? Or, all in favor?
Sorry. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so I have a thought, if you want to do it, if you would like to have an event at the pool again, if you would like to put on a karaoke afternoon, I have a complete system and I'll be more than happy to volunteer and run it. If you want to select a day,
You're the pool guy. You know more than anybody here. What's your thoughts?
I can't imagine the people that frequent the pool all the time doing karaoke. It's my first thought. I won't be standing up singing something.
What?
But-
You would be laughing at those singing.
Yeah,
There's gotta be a line out.
gotta be a lot about it.
Well, that's exciting.
I just say, there's also that we have to kind of like find a way to evaluate what works and what won't work, or what didn't work, okay? Because I got negative comments from the pool people, because they were there for the pool.
Yeah.
And when the music was there on Saturday, I talked to them yesterday.
Every Saturday.
And, and I think we all want this to work. So I'm not sure how we make it work, but, we need to kind of give some more thought to that. Well, I don't know, if this group could come up with a way to make it work. I'm not sure. I know we've got karaoke equipment, we gotta have a group of people that can play music, that can sing, that can do whatever to get people to appreciate what's being done. Because it's a lot of work. We put a lot of work into this.
Mhm.
And, 30 people, if you even count the people in the pool, that's 30 people. And it's gotta be more than that. So that's why, it's like, well, I said last year, let's hook some speakers up in the pool area and play some music. Low, like on this day, we're gonna have this kind of music. On this day, we're gonna have this kind of music. And just start to kind of get people listening to music. I love, everything you guys are doing. I just can't figure out how to get people to not complain. That group of people complain about it.
Do that.
People-
Never do that.
No, but you can get a consensus of, wow, this is cool. But one day we had somebody, bring in a big boom box and they set it up on those where the tables are, where people, get the birthday parties going. And if somebody turned it on and it went up a level, and once it got to a certain level, everybody said, turn the thing down, so everybody turned it down. So there was a constant, volume that people could agree on. And they liked the fact that they had music at the pool, which was a kind of a secondary entertainment for them. And so I think we can keep doing stuff like that, but you know, it's like if you make it the main feature, if it's not as good as people are expecting, you know, or if they're not expecting it to have all of a sudden have an event and they're going, what are all these people doing here? You know, it's like, you know, they were making comments about, well, we've never seen that guy before. And he just showed up.
I think-
Yeah, it's this community.
Yeah.
Yes, but if there's 30 people that, and they're the same 30 people that go every day, and it's an advertised event, or it's advertised that a certain band or whoever is going to play,
Mhm.
they don't have to go that day, because guess what? We want another 300 people to be using this pool.
Right.
So it's not ownership of the pool. It's, you're going there, and I appreciate the people that go, but it doesn't mean that they have to like everything.
They don't have to like everything, but they need to like it enough to not be putting out negative comments to everybody, in the community, because that turns people off from even coming.
Trust me, I deal with this every single day.
I do trust you, but I also know
And you
that
are not ever
Ever.
gonna please everybody.
I'm not trying to do that. I've never tried to please everybody. That's not my style. But my thing is when you want to have an event that's going to be successful and people in the community aren't going to go, wow, man, I'm never going to that pool again. That's it. You know, it's like right now we've got people in our community that have set up 2 cameras and they give you a ticket, $100 ticket if you're going above 5 miles above the speed limit.
8 miles.
Well, 8 miles. Okay, 8 miles, 5 miles, I don't.
Bob, as much as I love the karaoke and your offer, can we start with the 4 events with the music and the bands and then go from there? I think we have a great starting point, and I want to be where you're thinking. But I just don't think we're there yet.
I agree. That's exactly all I'm trying to say. I don't want to poo-poo anybody's ideas. I think they're all.
No, and I appreciate them because you have got the creativity and that mind that I don't have. So, and I appreciate you offering to bring your equipment and coordinating it. I just don't think we're there yet.
I mean, if you're concerned about the quality, this is a gal that lives in Gateway. Give it a second here.
I'm not so different about the quality. I grew up on that music. I love that music. Okay, but
Well, that's the kind of performance I could bring.
Yeah.
And she lives here in Gateway. I'm not talking about people that get drunk and, just
but you can
get on the
bring in
record
one
stuff.
of
This
those
is
four
quality
events.
stuff.
I
We have-
get what you're saying, no.
Yeah, we have,
We're saying that we need to plan
Mhm.
and build for that.
when we need to plan these other, we need to help plan these other events as well. You know, I mean, that you need that help to input into how to make all of those things successful.
I think that what David is trying to say is that ease it up to them and not just bring it all at once as an event. And let them, give them a little bit of time to get used to,
Work it into one of the already planned events.
Okay.
yeah, work it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other conversation for the community sponsored events other than adding Taste of Gateway to it, and then we're removing
That is the
music?
music.
We're gonna add the music to the 4 events, and then we're gonna remove the music in the park for now until we get the infrastructure in place. Is there any other discussion or comments? I think it's a great starting point. It's a lot.
I think so.
I know some of the churches have taken lead on a lot of these, so hopefully we can either partner with them or coordinate with them in some form or function. Denny Grimes puts on a huge Easter egg hunt, so building that community partnership is imperative for the success of these events.
Agreed.
Anything else?
I think we're at a great start.
That's
Let's work this year, make it success and take it from there.
Well, I appreciate that. Started the conversation
to formalize the things that we're trying to community sponsor from Gateway. So I'm sure there'll be more, and this will be something that I'm gonna try to bring back every year to validate the list that we have or add to or take away based off of the community's reaction to each event, who's participating, who's not participating, and continue this conversation. So I think with that, that was the last agenda item.
So for items for discussion, yeah. Well, you-
Yeah, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting. Nope.
Return it. Your next item is member items and reports, so that would typically just go to each committee member and ask if they have any items or reports to bring up.
I don't have anything new to bring up, but I would like to see where we are with the quotes that we got for the dog. If you have any.
We are, you wanna talk, we're trying to set up a pre-construction or pre-application meeting with the county. Cause we're gonna need to get an LDO and we've pretty much been hitting a wall with trying to get that scheduled, so. We've got all of our quotes in place. We actually just got the quote today for the irrigation for the hedge line. So we're making hedgeway.
You're gonna have
I got
comments.
puns. I don't have creativity. I've got puns. We're moving along, but we have to get that LDO before we can do any construction. So,
Okay.
we've got
But
that.
that looks good.
Yeah, yeah. Daniel's heading up that project and we have a new, public works supervisor that just started yesterday. So, hopefully he'll be able to take some off of Daniel's Thanksgiving platter plate. And get the ball rolling on that.
Okay.
Anything else?
If you need me to do anything,
We'll let you know. I know. Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have something.
So if you want to make one of your planned events where we're adding music, if you would like to make one of them with karaoke, I could do that.
Exactly. I'll keep it in mind. So as you start planning them out. Okay. We got your number on them.
Okay.
Again, that might work at the 4th of July event because.
Yeah.
You know, they have the raffle what keeps people there, right? If you come and you get a ticket, you have to stay to get the raffle. And kids would love to sing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, moms and kids and whatever, you know, I could see that happening there at that event. So that might be a thing to
Sit
consider.
with fireworks too.
We don't.
We could do drones. We got one drone.
We have that done before they did not go good. The fireworks tip and burn the entire grass of Soccer Drive, and the fire department was here, so that's we decided no more voices.
I like those things.
Anything else, Bob?
No, you just decide which one you want to plug me into. Let me know. We live here, so I'm not a snowbird.
I have two things. One, comedy at the Commons, you can host it.
No,
Then,
I try.
do we have plans that I could see or have for the new dog park? Is there any schematics or anything?
We don't have we have a back of the napkin drawing of what we anticipate it to be, but we've got to get, Tetra Tech's giving us a very low cost task authorization to help us through, because we have to have a plan set for the LDO, so we're working on that, and as soon as we get that and they make it pretty, we'll get it in front of you.
Okay.
You guys meeting twice a month helps that, so we can
Is
get
that briefly what we have talked about consideration?
Yeah.
of that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's all I got.
Just have another question of, can you give any kind of a feeling of when the new building is gonna be started?
Maybe, depending on, we're resubmitting by the end of the week. Maybe shovel and ground February, March. Maybe, depends on how quick, if we have any more, comments back, and if we have to resubmit for a third time to the county, or for a third time to South Florida, that could delay it another cycle of permit reviews.
Thank you.
I have a question, irrelevant to the plans, but I just dawned on me, are we meeting twice in December? And if we are, can we not meet the second time because it's too close to Christmas? And I know some people may be traveling.
That is totally up to you all. These are your meetings.
I going to be traveling.
The next meeting,
can-
we'll bring that up.
Okay,
Okay.
It's closer.
Right, so then, Dave, did you have anything else?
No.
All right, so then the next, the most important thing on your agenda is setting your next meeting agenda and what you would like to see from us. So we've got to clearly define that we want to try to bring back the cost analysis for the 3 playground pieces. We need to bring back the most updated report for the Parks and Rec rules. Is there anything else that you'd like to see?
What was the first one you just said?
The comparison of the playground.
if we can even have a rough drawing of the dog park and,
Back of the napkin, try to get it on a piece of
Kind of,
paper to
yeah,
just show.
yeah, just to show
Aerial.
The concept.
touch bases on
That's a
what's
good
going on with that.
That's a good point.
So we don't let it sleep, so to speak. And I think that for now, that is good because we're gonna have to discuss about the rules and then make a final decision on the playground equipment. I think it's a good agenda for the next meeting.
That was the intent for bringing us together more often was to take our agenda and narrow it down. So that you had more time to actually focus on and get something accomplished versus trying to do all the things at once.
Exactly. So I think 3 items is perfect.
Last but not least, Sue Vale resigned from this committee, so we have 1 vacancy. Tell your friends, tell your friends that are Gateway residents, we've got the app online. Randy posted something, I think, on Facebook and on our website, maybe even sent it out to the HOAs. I'm not sure. I'll have to follow up with him, but we have a vacancy. We need to fill that vacancy.
Can we go back to people that have previously applied? Because I had someone that previously
Yeah,
applied.
they could, yeah, tell them to apply.
Reapply?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just resend their application that they sent whenever prior.
Okay.
So we've got that vacancy, so we have, I know that we have 1 applicant right now, so we'll get that on your next agenda, but we'd like to at least try to get at least more than 1 applicant, so you have some to review,
Or we only have 1 position.
like 1 position,
We already have an applicant.
1 out, yes. We just posted it, I think, yesterday, and so we got one applicant so far. And then, of course, you would make the recommendation, and then it'd have to go to the Board of Supervisors for the final approval. So tell your friends.
For our items for discussion next time, are we gonna have any more discussion about the different events that we just talked about, like, and where do we give input or information to you about, I think this thing of every community decorating a Christmas tree is not gonna work. Okay, or is gonna work.
Where's that? I don't know where that came from.
Well, somebody.
Last meeting.
Uh,
I think Tim brought it up.
Tim brought it up at the last meeting. Yeah, that's.
But who's paying for the decorations? Are we doing that out of our own pocket if we're in Gateway community?
I believe that was an option if you wanted to do it. It wasn't a.
I'm just saying, are we gonna talk anymore next time about some of these events to help you with your planning?
We can.
I would recommend we do
It's like the
something.
Winterfest, you wanna go through what.
Yeah, what's happening in Winterfest?
We're in the planning stages. We can bring that to you at your
Yeah,
next
yeah,
meeting and
yeah.
get you up to speed on what we've got planned. I know Randy's been trying to coordinate all of the logistics with the different vendors and sheriff and fire department and food trucks. And so we can get you a
Like, when do
tentative.
I show up at your house for Thanksgiving? Things like that.
I mean, we have pretty good turkey dinner at our place, so you're more than welcome to come, but.
See, that's the way you get to eat. You don't look like this, not talking.
So that's a good point. Let us, maybe not at the next meeting, but the following. Let us chew on it a little bit. Now that you guys have approved this, we want to get it to the board and get their blessing. And then we can start to add internally what we believe should be at each. And then you guys can fine tune it, tweak it, add it, subtract it, etc. This was a very, damn, you're 2 months in, this was. We got all this in 2 months.
Yeah.
This is me trying to formalize it. That's really what this is trying to get buy-in and participation from all the subcommittees, all the way up to the board on what we're saying we're doing as a community. And then understanding that we have to resource a lot of stuff behind it. There's staff hours behind it. There's coordinations with outside vendors and third-party vendors so that we can start getting ahead of things proactively versus like, hey, Dan, next week's Winterfest, plan this for me.
Yeah,
So that we can get ahead of a lot of these things, so that we know for the entire year and we can, like Chelsea had said, we can get out there and market it better, advertise it.
So
And get
who wants to volunteer for Winterfest?
To do what?
You tell me what you want to do. We've got a list of things. Anyway, we need, it's the first Saturday in December. We need volunteers. If you're interested, shoot Daniel an email, let us know. We're trying to round up, we're trying to get, I think last time Tim had gotten a Boy Scout troop. I think Doug Banks, one of his sons and all of his son's friends came and we had a lot of volunteers that way, but it would really help if you guys could come and wear your crack badges and say, you know.
I'll volunteer to do something.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll volunteer to do something too.
okay,
I'll do something.
awesome, awesome. Okay, we'll bring that back. I appreciate that a lot. All right,
December 2nd, right?
yes. 6:30.
Daniel, put me down.
6 September.
You can email me, whatever you want me. I can prior to the fact too, if you want anything.
Okay.
Any
I know like we've taught, we have
organizing
some cotton candy,
fixing
yeah,
something.
prizes, things like that.
Right, if you need something prepared or,
Okay,
you know, sure, absolutely.
all right. With that, I think we've got our marching orders for your next meeting. Now you can.
Our next meeting is gonna be November 21st, 1:30 here, right? That's what we did. That's the last, that's what we originally.
We did first and third.
Oh, yeah.
1:30, the board meets at 3. Georgia,
Yes,
when does PrAC meet next?
Carla was right, November 21st at 1:30.
All right, so the board meets at 3,
So
so.
you wanna do it at once?
On Tuesday?
On the
Oh, it's on
That's
the
a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
Oh, you had me thinking it was a Thursday.
No,
Okay.
Tuesday.
Yes, we're good. You're correct.
Okay.
The 19th
Yes.
at 1:30.
No, the 21st.
21st.
No,
Tuesday, the 21st.
Tuesday.
Where's
Tuesday the
November?
19th.
No,
No.
Oh, I'm the wrong month.
Tuesday, November 21st.
you're looking at December.
Yes, I was. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Tuesday, November 21st, 1:30 here.
yes.
And it's now
Now,
3:23, we're adjourning.
Yep. perfect. Oh, we have